Hello, and welcome to the Sweet Southern Sports Podcast, where we talk about SEC sports. Today we'll be looking at the SEC Football Week 2 preview. So first, looking at Week 1, or just kind of looking at the takeaways from last week. Wow, it was awesome to have football back, first of all. The games were absolutely electric in so many atmospheres, so many close matchups. I feel like the opening games of the season really showed um, some really big weak points for some teams, and then also some really surprising bright points. But here are the top five takeaways specifically for the SEC. So, in no particular order, first one was Auburn's offense looked explosive. So, against Baylor, they went on the road, got a win in there, specifically at their wide receiver and special teams. So for their special teams team, they had a huge, I believe it was 98-yard touchdown kickoff return, which was just absolutely huge for that team. Absolutely electric. Kid went flying down the field in Pleasant. And then at the wide receiver position, those guys just showed that they are at the next level. You had Coleman, and then you had Singleton Jr. Um, those guys are just absolute freaks out there. It just looked like the whole team around Auburn um, really could help Arnold out. Again, Jackson Arnold really struggled at Oklahoma last year. I think it just felt like they're going to be able to help him out where he doesn't always have to be like this crazy high caliber quarterback, that he just has to make sure that he's not the one who hurts them. But I feel like Auburn really was able to walk away from the game looking like they could really cause some issues in the SEC for a couple of teams. Another big thing, so second takeaway from this week, was Tennessee looked really impressive against Syracuse. Now, obviously, it's just Syracuse, but they had their quarterback Aguilar. Everyone didn't really know what this offense was going to look like. Heupel had him looking exactly like his offenses typically look, really throwing the deep ball well, really spreading the defense out. The defense also showed up to be pretty good. But again, Tennessee looked way better offensively than a lot of people expected. I think that Tennessee team now, with how easy a SEC schedule they have, could cause a lot of issues down the road. But it was really good to see um, that Tennessee could throw the football with Joey Aguilar like that. Third thing is the most shocking thing that happened in Tallahassee as Alabama fell terribly to FSU. FSU absolutely manhandled the Tide. I mean, you would think that FSU would have had to been cute with a team like that, with how much talent Alabama has. They full on just ran the ball right at him, ran at the edge. Gus Malzahn, literally, Alabama, I believe, was having flashbacks to when he was at Auburn. The man did a fantastic game plan for the offense for Florida State. They just ran all over them, just did literally anything they wanted. Alabama looked so lazy defensively, just like not running after the ball, guys just kind of trailing the play. It was just a very weird showing. Everyone is out for Keelan DeBoer in the Alabama community. We'll see if this is truly the identity of this team, like if they are really just this lazy moving forward. I think Alabama is in crazy trouble though to actually make it to like an SEC championship or even compete for a championship. This is what their team really looks like. I mean, they still have to play a crazy amount of teams. They have Georgia, they have LSU still, they have South Carolina still, they have Auburn still. Just the teams go on and on. And Alabama still has to play Tennessee. There's just so many teams that they have to play that if they show up like this, there's a lot of teams that will be willing to just again copy and paste what Florida State did and just play really hard and run right at them and play really physical. But again, FSU just manhandled them, so congratulations to them. We'll see how big the discrepancy was against Alabama just playing terrible, or if it was really FSU just being that good of a team. We'll be able to tell that in the upcoming weeks. Next, Texas went on the road to Ohio State and had an L there. I think Arch Manning and Steve Sarkisian really struggled offensively. It seemed like their offense really stalled. when it comes to like just the movements and the flow of that Texas offense, it just seemed really off all day. It just seemed like they were very off balance, very like could never really get a flow throughout the game. Again, credit to Ohio State's defense. That defense had those wide receivers specifically locked down tight. There was like no throwing space at all. So again, how many teams are going to have a defense like Ohio State? So like still look for Texas to be really good. But Ohio State really did, especially defensively, cause so many issues for their offense where they really didn't do much until maybe like the last quarter. So again, Texas really, really, really struggled offensively. Now their defense though looked like really, really good. I think their defense is going to win them a lot of games this year. But it was a little shocking to see how much the offense struggled. You don't expect them to walk in and blow out Ohio State, um, but to like barely score in the game was just absolutely crazy to watch that. So we'll have to look at that in the weeks ahead. And then the last thing, LSU overcame their week one. They went 1-0. So good thing for Brian Kelly, as there was going to be so much heat and so much pressure specifically on that game. LSU went into Clemson on the road and got a win. It was a close game, but really the highlight was really just that LSU defense. They looked much better than they have in past years lately, kind of looking like that old style LSU team. I still saw a lot of situations where it felt like Clemson missed some points where like they just kind of missed a couple big plays or dropped the ball here or there. Some little things like that. So I'm not fully bought in that the LSU defense is fully back. But after watching that performance, LSU should be favored in a ton of games this year. And they are looking in a really good spot to be a playoff team this year. Again, it just really matters that they win some competitive games in the SEC over the next couple of weeks and throughout the season. So again, great job by the Tigers. Offense looked pretty good. Had some explosive pieces. They looked much better in the second half, so I'm interested to see how much of a fluke that was in that first half. If it like will always take them that long to settle and make adjustments, or if they'll be able to like really come out early and pop teams in the mouth pretty early this year. So we'll have to see that. All right, so let's go to the week two picks now. So when looking at it, Saturday, September 6th is when all the games are played. So a little bit easier this week as they were all over the place last week. So first opening up, we have Texas A&M playing Utah State at home. They open as 29.5 point favorites. Texas A&M should run over them pretty easily. I do have them winning this game. I expect this game to be one where they again just lean on that run game and then the play action pass and just again just keep moving the ball and really being physical with teams. I do see that Texas A&M Aggies getting a win in that one. Next game you have Georgia playing Austin Peay at 3:30. Georgia's going to absolutely steamroll this team. They destroyed Marshall last week. This team is probably even worse than they are. So again, expect Georgia to win big again. I think they'll finish this game pretty quickly. Zachariah Branch had a really good week last week, as you can see, 3 receptions, 95 yards, and a touchdown. That kid is super fast. I expect him to have another explosive play this week. Last season, he was one of my favorite wide receivers, just because about like he was just again a blur with that speed at USC. I do expect us to see a lot of big games from him this year. Next one is pretty much one of the biggest, or actually the biggest SEC matchup of the week, where you have Ole Miss playing at Kentucky. I do think this one has been one of those sneaky games, as Kentucky pulled off the upset just excuse me just last year. But I do think Ole Miss gets the job done in this game. They have Simmons at the quarterback position. I just think they're going to be too explosive with Kiffin. Kentucky's going to be down this year a little bit, and I think it's going to show in this game quite a bit. I actually don't think Ole Miss will have an issue covering. Right now it's at 10.5. I could see Ole Miss easily covering this spread by winning by at least 2 touchdowns. So I do have Ole Miss winning this one. Next game is an easy one for Tennessee. So it's going to be Tennessee playing East Tennessee State at 3:30. Tennessee will steamroll this team again. As I had shared earlier, they played Syracuse at a neutral site game and just absolutely obliterated them. This will be easy for their offense. Should be done really early. The defense will stand strong. I expect this one to be done by halftime or very early in the third quarter. All right, next one we have one of the best games of the week. So this will be Kansas going at Missouri at 3:30 on ESPN2. This is one of those games that should be super fascinating. These teams have played over the years for a pretty long time. Before Missouri again moved over to the SEC, this used to be one of those really, really good competitive games. I do see in this game, I do think Missouri finds a way to win. I think it's going to come close down to the wire. Kansas has a really special quarterback at Daniels. This kid can fly. He's just very special with the football. But when it comes to it, Missouri, I think overall roster wise, just has a lot more talent on their roster at certain spots. And I think it's just going to show, especially being at home. So with the home field advantage and everything, I'm going to have to go for Missouri in this one. All right, next we have the Florida Gators against the USF Bulls. This game's at 4:15 at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. Florida opens as a 17.5 point favorite. This one is a sneaky game. USF is just coming off of a big win against who was ranked 25 Boise State. And I think USF has a really physical team based on what we saw against them. They really put a hurting on Boise State, and they did it pretty easily. When it comes to this game, really the biggest nerve-wracking thing, if you're a Florida fan, really just comes down to UF's physicality. But then also that this is an in-state game, so a lot of these kids have seen each other in high school. They've played each other. They have a lot of family members who have gone to either school, things like that. It just kind of brings an extra passion to the game. I do think Florida is the better roster when it comes down to it overall. But USF has some players that could make some plays at different positions. Watch out for this one. If Florida again shows up and handles their business early, it should be fine. But you don't want this one to become a close game or a ground and pound game. For this one for Florida. You definitely want to make sure you can put up some points and stuff. I think the defense for Florida will be able to keep South Florida from scoring a lot, but you want to make sure again that you don't get into a defensive battle with this team. So I do have Florida winning that one. Next, Arkansas plays Arkansas State. I think Arkansas will win this one pretty handedly. Arkansas State has struggled um, over the years. I think Arkansas will beat them pretty good. Next one, you have South Carolina playing South Carolina State again. Should be pretty easy for the Gamecocks, especially coming off of their big win just the other day. I think against Virginia Tech. I think South Carolina will handle this one pretty easily as well. Next at 7:30, LSU coming off of that big game against Clemson. They will play Louisiana Tech at 7:30 at home. LSU opens as a 37.5 point favorite. This will be an easy one for the Tigers. Hopefully they can get some backups in, give some reps there, and also give some rest as again they have some big games coming up. Arizona State goes to Mississippi State at 7:30. This will be an awesome one. It's always good when you can hear those cowbells ringing in big games and stuff to have Arizona State come in. Arizona State had a great year last year. They were pretty much one of the main surprise teams last year. I'm really excited to see this game specifically. Arizona State opens as a 6.5 point favorite or a touchdown favorite. Um, I think when it comes to this game, Arizona State's going to be better than people think. I just have that feeling. Mississippi State's kind of been a lower end team, but you never know when it's again that home advantage. So we'll see. But I think Arizona State in this game gets the win. I think it's again competitive, but when it comes down to the fourth quarter and stuff, I think Arizona State will be able to find a way to win. Next, you have Ball State going at Auburn. Auburn will win this easily. They open as a 42.5 point favorite. Get ready for some. I was sharing a little bit earlier about this wide receiver group being very good. Watch out for this Auburn defense and this wide receiver group to put on an absolute show in this one. They're going to let that ball fly down the field quite a bit. Really exciting next game. This is Vanderbilt going on the road to Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech just lost to South Carolina, and Vanderbilt still has Pavia, and I think it's going to be absolutely awesome watching him walk into an environment like um, Lane Stadium on such a big stage. Virginia Tech does open right now as a 1.5 point favorite, but I do have Vandy finding a way to win. Um, I mean Virginia Tech, sorry, finding a way to win. This one's gonna come down to the wire. It just comes down to that home field advantage. I just think Virginia Tech can make a play, um, but I think Pavia and Vanderbilt's gonna make this super duper interesting. I think it will come down to the wire and come down to just a few plays. And then the last little stretch of games here we have. So Alabama plays Monroe. I think this game, a lot of people are going to be watching it just to kind of see what that team looks like. I know it's not Florida State; they're not going to have as much as Florida State, but a lot of teams are going to want to see like this. Does Alabama play with intensity? Do they look focused? And can they cover this spread? Just to try to get a better feel of I do think Alabama plays much better, but I don't even know what to think of this team. They were just so shocking last week. They were just so terrible against Florida State, or Florida State was just that good. That this just it's so hard to tell with this team. But I do have Alabama winning. But again, they were just so terrible last week. I don't know how well they're gonna compete still. Next, San Jose State goes to Texas. Texas opens as a 36.5 point favorite. This one will be, I think, domination when it comes to it. Manning specifically will play a much cleaner game. Obviously, not playing Ohio State defense. I think they try to quiet everybody down and destroy San Jose State here. So again, bad spot for the Spartans here, but we'll see how that goes. And then the last one, this is like the game of the week. College game day will be there. You have the Michigan Wolverines going to Norman, Oklahoma to play the Oklahoma Sooners at 7:30 on ABC. Oklahoma opens as a 5.5 point favorite. This game is going to be awesome. So Michigan has a great defense again. They should be really good. Their offense, again, great offensive line, great at the running back position with Haynes. But the new thing that Michigan has is a quarterback this year. So they have Bryce Underwood. This kid is a true freshman, but he's super good. You could tell just the other day that they have the best quarterback that they've had in a while there when it comes to his ability to be explosive and make special plays. I think that is going to make this game even better because Oklahoma also returns a really good defense, but they also have John Mateer at the quarterback position, who I think very well could even win the Heisman this year. I think this game is going to be an absolute classic. I think this one definitely comes down to the fourth quarter with the quarterbacks making plays on both sides. But I do have to give the win to Oklahoma. I've been back and forth on this game. This is probably one of my most switched games during the offseason. But I have just landed on going with Oklahoma and John Mateer as I just, again, think that when it comes to having a veteran quarterback who knows their system so well, there's just some little key plays that instead of them throwing a pick or throwing an incompletion, they just get those extra little. Instead of throwing an incomplete pass, I get the 2 or 3 extra yards on this play. I think that happens throughout this game, especially with the home crowd being behind them. I think Oklahoma finds a way to win, but this will be an absolute classic of a game. So again, watch out for Oklahoma. I think they win this game. All right, so those are my predictions for the week 2 of the SEC football season. If you like this video, please make sure you like and subscribe and look for more content as we go throughout the weeks. Thank you.